Welcome to Mic Checka, the podcast where we talk to dope, interesting people doing dope, interesting things. I got my boy on the line. Man, I remember when we were in high school, and people don't remember this these days because everything was hip hop now. But then we were like, I guess, the beginning of everybody kind of listening to hip hop across the board, maybe a little bit mainstream. The only guy that would know on Music Tuesdays that I knew that was going to have something to talk about on Wednesday is this guy right here. And he was the only white guy on
Every
Hip Hop
Tuesday.
Hard back then. I remember we first got the Nas I Am album. Like and Castles the Trade albums, and like, yo, you need to get that new Brand Nubian. You need to get on this. You need to get on that. It's
Everything.
Guy, man. I mean, dude, you've lived almost. I call it a. I feel like it's a Forrest Gump-esque life, but you don't have any Asperger's or anything. The brother is former soccer player, former hockey player. I remember when he scheduled his fight for his last game. I don't know if you remember that you scheduled a fight for your last game.
Of course, man.
Yeah. You went to Rhodes or Christian Brothers you go to for college?
Rhodes. I went to Rhodes.
Yeah, because you went to Rhodes with Jasmine.
Yep.
And then he went on to be a model. Like, I mean, it was like, this dude's a model now. Like, what the hell? And like, we want to get in.
Y'all never knew.
Yeah, no, we didn't know. I looking back, I knew, but I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a grown ass man, you're like, oh man, he's way more attractive than all us. And then now he's a trainer for all kind of athletes in Norway. Man, my boy's in Norway. He's training Cecilia Braekhus. Who's some other people you're training now?
I got a guy, Emil Meek, who's in Vegas right now at the UFC Performance Institute. So he's working with them now, working on getting a fight. I'm working on it with a guy, Armani Cotton, who he actually went to Yale. He's a super smart dude, like neuropsychology major, played at Yale. He's been playing pro ball over here. So we're working through some injuries this season because all the leagues are so splintered up.
Yeah.
So he's married to a Norwegian girl. So yeah. So finally I got somebody I can talk hip hop to.
Right. So he plays for the Norway in soccer or? No,
this is basketball. Sorry. So
basketball.
He's from New York. Yeah, he's a New York guy. Like he grew up there. Yeah. So he played basketball at Yale.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. Was
He's played professionally in Belgium and Germany, a couple places.
Okay, so he's been traveling around doing the whole European circuit.
Yep.
Okay. My man Blake Schaefering, man, thank you for coming on, my brother, man. I appreciate
Thank you so much,
having me. Man. I appreciate
you having me.
Yeah, man. Let's start. I mean, you're from St. Louis. We both went to St. Louis University high together, SLUH high together. You're the first SLUH high person. Alex coming on next week, actually, man.
Really?
Talk all kind of stuff. Yeah, because he moved to Maine randomly.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah, and he's got like man, because Alex got all kind of crazy stuff. He's like the American version of you, and I feel like when it comes to like of this Forrest Gump living. I mean, the dude was on Price is Right. Got to the Showcase Showdown. I don't remember that.
I saw that.
Yeah, and then he was he's got a lot of comedy stuff he's written in LA, and now he's living in Maine and just writing, man. So, and then he was like a general manager of like a restaurant for a while in Chicago, J. Alexander. So shout out to Alex, man. We got some dope people that went to our high school, man. So let's go back, man. So what part of St. Louis are you from, man?
So I'm from out west, like basically as far west as you can get before it starts turning into like farms and stuff.
So you're past Winsville and stuff, or?
No. Sorry, I'm thinking like out by Wildwood, Grover, Eureka, Chesterfield. Like not Chesterfield. It's even further out than that. Okay, basically, you start driving to Six Flags.
Like everything is like not even far until past Winsville now. That's the crazy thing. Like.
That's true. I keep forgetting. I don't come back that often. Every time I come back, it just the border goes farther and farther and farther.
Like it's 70 and 64 now is where somebody's like, oh man, I live far out. You like, oh damn, you live real far. Back in the day, it was 270. Like,
oh yeah.
You live at 270. It was like, oh, you live far.
Now, so I grew up out there, and then my parents still live there, so that's where I go, and come back in town, hang out there.
So when you got the SLUH, like you play soccer, hockey. You didn't play basketball, did you?
No, I quit. So growing up, I played basketball, baseball, soccer, ice hockey, volleyball, track, basically everything. But then when I got to SLUH, I stuck with soccer and hockey.
Why those two? Because you didn't play baseball at SLUH either, did you?
No, basically, I just wanted time off. Like, I mean, especially when you consider hockey was a club sport, or maybe it still is.
No, it's not a
Most of
club
the
sport
time.
anymore. It's like state sanctioned now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, it was club back then. So, I mean, literally after soccer season.
Okay, so
You got it?
yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. I got it. So wow, okay.
No,
So
sorry,
it's the break. You was wanting to break. Like I want to chill in the spring.
I mean, every year after freshman year, I had like a 2-week period in spring, like right before Easter, where I just was out. Like my parents thought I had mono every year. It just turns out fatigue. Like I was just burnt out.
It's like I'm just done, man.
So
yeah, because
yeah, I just needed like 2 weeks to rest.
you weren't on the the squad that won state, right? Our freshman year, right?
No.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I remember we got out of school for that. I was like, oh, so I wanted to win a state championship and everything.
Everything, yeah, exactly.
I would have get a day out of school all the time, man. So you end up you got a scholarship to Rhodes for soccer, or no? Let's go back to to you at hockey and you scheduling the last game for the fight. Like, how did that whole concept come about for you to schedule a pre-made fight?
I mean, the thing about fighting in hockey is most of the time you're fighting guys you know. Like most of the time you're just doing it it's to change like tempo in the game. It's like, half the guys that I fought when I played hockey, I knew them, and afterwards, like, I mean, we were 16, 17, 18 at the time, so didn't legally go out and grab a beer together, but
right. But we have a Casey Natty light in the trunk.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you just do it, and I mean, you just scrap a little bit, and that's fun. Especially it's high school hockey. Everybody, the bigger the hit, the bigger the crowd roars. Same thing. You get in a fight, everybody loves it.
So it's just like, man, are we gonna have this fight? This is my last game probably for my senior year, and I'm gonna have a fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Did the coach know you was doing this, or was it was kind of like a? No.
I couldn't tell chart. Busenhart wouldn't have let me come out there if I told him. He'd be like, "Nope, staying in the locker room, not a chance."
He's like they've won like 3 or 4 state championships though, like the last few years, like.
But they got good, man. I don't know what exactly it was, but it's just before, because it was CBC and Chaminade.
Yep.
Basically won everything, and then Vianney and us, and Desmet was really good, and then Vianney and us were sort of like the lower tier, and then we just popped back up.
Is it did one of the Stashneys kids go there, or did they go to Chaminade? Chaminade. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I was actually talking about that to Armani, that basketball player, and showing him how Tatum and David Lee and Stastnys and Brad Davis. I was like, all those guys.
Yeah, Chaminade I remember David Lee led our conference in scoring as a freshman, and broke his arm and didn't play like half the conference season. Like, that was a crazy thing. That's how good he was. And we were seniors when he was a freshman. Yep. That's how good he was. Like. Yep. So like Chaminade
exactly
and then CBC, of course, when Larry Hughes and Justin Tatum and all them, man, like that was just, I mean, next level. But now it's even higher level. Like, it's SLUH went to the state championship 3 or 4 years ago.
Basketball?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. Like they lost in the semifinals. But Erwin Clack is the coach, so it's like.
That's right. I read that. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So
that makes more sense then.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about that team went from, I mean, when Maurer was our coach, like, 40 points a game, they putting up 70 now, and an open floor plan for playing, But so you end up going down to Rhodes for soccer, a scholarship for soccer, or?
I mean, it's D3, so it wasn't really a scholarship, but there was, weighted on the academic end and stuff like that. But went down there for soccer, and because they had a good Chinese program.
Okay, and so what did you choose? Like, did you have other offers that you could have taken but you were like, nah, I don't want to go D1 or D2?
It was close. but it was still far enough away. Memphis, you know, pretty cool town, at least, you know, for me I was looking at places in like Mississippi and places like that. Memphis was still a big city. I was looking at some places like up east, you know, even Northwestern up in Chicago, but it just sort of checked all the boxes.
I couldn't have seen you at like Ole Miss or nothing, man. That wouldn't have worked out well for you.
No,
That
not at
wouldn't have
all.
worked out well for you for no, down there, man. Memphis is the borderline area where you could hit.
Yeah. We went down to Ole Miss a few times, like to go like party and stuff.
Yeah, because it's only like 2 or 3 hours from Memphis, right?
I think it was even less than that. It's like an hour maybe.
Oh wow, okay. I heard it's a good time down there, but it's Ole Miss. I mean, it speaks for itself. Yeah. Even in 2021, it's still Ole Miss.
Yeah, and this is 20 years ago too.
Right,
so, I mean,
right. So how did you get into modeling, man? Like, so how did that come about and happen?
So it just sort of came up. I mean, there was an agency in Memphis who I was recommended to. I went and talked to them, and then they said, all right, we'll take some pictures, send some stuff around. Ford in New York wanted me to come up. And so I went up there, and I got there September like 8th, 2001. I actually took the semester off because I wasn't playing much in soccer. I was dealing with a ton of injuries. I was spending more time on the trainer table than anything else. So I was like, all right, this is a totally new experience. I can go move to New York for, you know, a semester. I got half of my teachers to basically say, we won't take your attendance, but your final is your final grade. So I said, okay, I'll just keep up.
Oh, wow. So you didn't have to take off the semester technically. You were still registered, but just living in New York.
I was still enrolled. Yeah, exactly. Still enrolled, everything. Went up there my junior year, and then September 11th happened like 3 days after I got there. So like no work, nothing. I've made some incredible friends, like still know a bunch of them, still stay in touch. But yeah, like just everything stopped.
Wow, that makes. So, I mean, I was a mentor a kid, and he was asking me, was 9/11 worse or the coronavirus worse? For like, I was like, man, it was just. I guess this is longer, it's worse.
Yeah.
But I remember everything stopped fully 9/11. Like I felt like because we didn't have any sports games, no nothing. And I know we didn't have that now, but it was even worse. I feel like just for that small period of time.
I mean, even that day, I mean, cell phone towers, everything were down. Like my parents couldn't get a hold of me. Like, they were freaking out. And I was actually talking to my dad about this the other day, and he was talking about Corona being this sort of generational event. He said, think about it. After 9/11, you didn't fly the same. You didn't travel the same. You didn't, the whole like political conversation was different. He said, everything changed. And he said, I think it's going to be the same thing here. Like some of these changes you're just going to be living with. We'll probably be getting vaccines every year, like a flu, like a flu shot, but it's just going to be, you have to get it. Because like otherwise you're not going to be able to fly.
To school, or booster shot to go to school, or any of the other, shots to go to school. And then somebody probably try to make a vaccine that is long-term more than just a short-term shot.
Yeah, but I mean, for the next couple of years, we're going to see it just this ripple effect where it's just going to affect everything.
So you almost had like the stereotypical before 9/11, the stereotypical I'm at the mall and I get discovered kind of like thing where people, people don't understand it now. Back in the day, people would be like, think like, oh, it's just this fat model person at the mall and they just discovered me at the food court.
But I mean, it was sort of like that. Like my girlfriend.
Yeah, no, I know you told me the story before. That's what I'm just saying that people don't know now. That's definitely not going to happen now. But then that was what happened to people then.
And that's exactly it. I had friends who were scouts, and they would literally, that's what they do. They'd go to food courts, they'd go to high schools, they'd go to stuff like that. And that's where they go to scout. They're like, I'd rather go to like Tulsa, Oklahoma to go scout than try to find in LA. Because you're going to find the next big thing there who doesn't know it yet. Like she doesn't know it yet. But now I guess you can still do that, but it's so different with social media.
Yeah, I could just go on IG and just scroll all day and then
scroll. I mean,
okay. She looked like she might have a look. Boom. Let me hit her up in the DM.
Well, it's different too now because of the age stuff. I mean, it's a little different. A buddy who told me this stuff about scouting, he was like 25, 26.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see a 25-year-old, 26-year-old like creeping around a bunch of 14, 15-year-olds at a high school.
This ain't 21 Jump
Like,
Street. Like,
no, no, man. No, like, even back then, it's a bit creepy, but now, like, someone will stop that in its tracks.
so wow. Is the recruiting went towards strictly social media wise, or is it still scouts that are like in the middle of Omaha and
I
finding
mean,
somebody?
I think the other thing is everybody's connected to them. So an agency can sit there and say, send us your pictures. And they may get 1,000, submissions, but they just literally have to sit there and go through those instead of jump on a plane, all these costs for the scout to go do it.
Mm. So after 9/11, so you didn't get any work during that semester you were gone, no work. So you just in New
Like
York.
nothing. I think I'm still paying off the credit card bill from them.
Damn.
I mean, no, I just basically I just partied. I mean, if I'm honest, like I made some good friends, and we went out a bunch. I got lucky. I landed in like a good group of friends who both were loyal, like fun, and also had access to all the best parties.
Mm. So then after that, you went back to Rhodes then after that?
Yep. So I went back in and basically crammed 4 semesters worth in 3 semesters.
Because you were like, I already seen what's happening. I need like this already.
Yep. But I was like, all right, I got to go back and finish this. Like, there's nothing. It's not. I'm gonna quit school and go up there. I got to get this done.
So it was so after that,
up.
so you finished up a semester before you were supposed to graduate.
No, I graduated on time basically. So that semester, I didn't take a full course load. It was only a couple classes.
Okay.
So then I just had to make up for it in the last 3 semesters.
Okay. And then after that, you went back to New York after leaving Rhodes?
I went to Australia then.
Okay. Okay. So what was the move to Australia about?
I just, when I was getting ready to graduate, I had an offer to go to Australia for 3 months. And I was figuring most people sort of, they just dick around the summer after they graduate before, doing something.
Yeah.
So I decided to go spend the summer in Australia, which in hindsight was their winter, but still pretty nice.
So Jay was in Australia around that time.
Was he?
Jay Phillips
was he in Sydney?
Perth.
Okay, now he was on the other side.
Yeah, he was in Perth or whatever. He did a student exchange down there for like a year.
All right, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was in Perth. So
I went down to Australia.
So is that pretty far? Perth is far from Sydney. That's a totally different. It's like LA to New York type of feel, but for Australia.
I think it's at least that. It might even be like a 12-hour flight. I'm not sure, but it's at least like 6 to 8 hours.
Oh wow. Okay. So then after Australia,
I could be wrong, but I think it's that far.
Damn.
After that, I went back to St. Louis, saved some money.
Bigger country than I think then.
Yeah, that middle, that like red center they have is huge. I mean, it's its own continent, right?
Yeah,
right?
It's its own continent. Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while since I looked at that. But.
Yeah. So you came back to St. Louis after that, and.
I came back to St. Louis. Plan was to come back to St. Louis for only a few months. I mean, I literally, and you talked about those, those CD drops. I went and worked at like Circuit City just so I could,
get the
discount on all the music and everything. It's like, I'm only going to be here like 3-4 months. So came and did that. And then I went to Europe and I went to Milan, Paris, back to Milan. I don't know, I think it was in Barcelona at some point down there, and then moved back to New York. And honestly, for like the next 7 years, I just bounced around. I would spend like 3 months in London, 6 months in New York, 2 months in Paris, a month in Berlin, a month in Barcelona. I don't know, we kept bouncing around from market to market. And I met my wife, or who's my wife now, on that first trip. So she came visit me in New York, and then that was part of the reason we kept bouncing around, because she's Norwegian. So when I would come over to Europe, I was on a tourist visa. And then when she would come to the States, she was on a tourist visa. So we had like 90 days to, to do some stuff and then get out.
So does it reset when you come back to the U.S.?
There's certain things, because basically the thing with the Schengen, or at least it's what it was, I'm not sure if it still is, you have to be out 180 days. So I technically could have come in for 6 months and said that 90 days was back here and then 90 days goes here. And then if I'm out 6 months, then I'm okay for a new one.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Yeah, there's ways to get around it, but I mean, it becomes a pain in the ass, if I'm honest. It's like constantly having to just pack your stuff up, go to the next spot, pack your stuff up. And because Schengen was basically all of Western Europe, it wasn't like it was just a short hop somewhere and then, short hop back over. Like, people do that in the States, and they'll do that with the US one, because you can sort of do it the same thing in the US, and you go to Canada for like a week and then come back.
Wow, I didn't even know. Wow, I didn't, because it's funny. It's these girls that are I don't know if you saw them. They got kicked out of Bali.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. They stayed over their visa, and then they're going to put it on social media like, yeah, it's dope over here. You nobody even checking your visa. Like, why do you even say that?
Social media messes that up because, like, when she was traveling, she was working as a model, but like she had 3 agencies that they folded before they put through working papers. Just like terrible bad luck. Like I would carry her modeling book with me, those sort of things. Now it's like they just go on Google. They look at the name, they Google it, and if you're at the agency, see it right away. I mean, this is like 2004, 2005, 2006, where that was probably an option, but it wasn't the first thing they think of, or social media.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Damn, you can get caught up easier. Wow. Yeah. Because you'd be like, oh, well, and on top of it, you got to post for the gram like, yo, I'm in Barcelona chilling. Like, oh, you in Barcelona on the 15th?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You must have been back on the 10th. So
they started asking me stuff too. I would come back like, so why do you spend so much time out of the country?
Oh, so
I had
customs
long hair at this time.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
customs
like come through and, well, not customs, but like immigration. So they'd be like, so what do you do? And a little like embarrassment and a little, I don't say male model. I'm like, I work with athletes.
Right.
And that usually gets them. It's like, oh, what athlete? And then you start just making up shit.
Yeah, like, man, I was with a band.
Yeah, then it's fine.
Doing my.
But they, like I got asked more questions than they did.
So for immigration, do they come to your house, or like when you come in through, like how did that go?
No, it's just when you come in, like passport control, because you got passport control, and then you got the customs. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I just went to London a year and a half ago, and it was simple as hell. It was harder getting into London than it was coming back in the U.S. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an American citizen, it's pretty easy. I think it's just the fact that I was out like 9 months of the year.
Yeah, because
so
they were asking
they're
everything.
looking at.
Like when we got to London, they were like, "Yo, are you gonna be going?" Because I guess because my passport was only like a month or two renewed, and I basically couldn't go. They were saying like it was certain countries I couldn't go to unless it was six month passport.
Yep.
In Europe, I could go to London. We went to the Netherlands for a day, and they let me go over, but I couldn't go to like some other places because it was because
you need 6 months validity.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know that. I was like, damn, okay. I did not know that. I didn't, it wasn't that's a recent thing. Because before, when I was in Italy for student exchange, that wasn't like that. It was like, you got it. You can go the next day to wherever you want to go.
I mean, it depends on who enforces it too. I just think passport control is a lot more strict than it was like 20 years ago.
Okay, just in general.
Yeah, just in general.
So after modeling for some years and bouncing around, how did you get into training athletes, man?
So like, let's go back to St. Louis.
Yeah.
My mom's been a hockey instructor. So like she's worked with hockey, but that's how I got into hockey. So she's worked with like blues players, like college players, pro players. I mean, you remember Chris Pronger?
Yeah.
She worked with Chris Pronger the 2 seasons in the off season, the 2 seasons that I guess the season before he won the Hart Trophy.
Yep.
And the Norris Trophy.
Yeah.
So I mean, she's been working with elite level guys, and I would always work under her. So I was working with athletes, but I was looking on ice, and it's the same thing for me. Doing it in the training room or on the ice, you're looking at the same like movement mechanics. You're looking at like optimization, and so the transition was pretty easy. The biggest reason was when I got to Norway, I needed Norwegian income if we were going to buy a house.
So you just,
so for me, I was like, all right.
Why did you stop modeling? Like, why was it like, man, I'm not going to do the modeling thing no more,
It wasn't so much stopping. It was just more, we were tired of renting other people's places out and paying their mortgages. So we're like, all right, at least let's buy a place. And if we're not there, we can rent it out. And so we at least have this asset. Okay. So we came here, we worked for like 6 months and then just saved up some money for a down payment or from what we had and bought a place.
Wow. And then, so So then getting into like you got into more athletes. How did you build up that clientele to get these athletes and to be able to get in these with these certain people? And
Not a whole lot of people here do what we do. So, you know, I was really being one of the first on the market to do this. Luckily, the facility that I'm at now, we just sort of linked up by coincidence, and they looked at me when I was training myself and I was training a friend when we were training here, and one of the general manager comes down and he says, you're not just training. He's like, do you work with athletes? And we started talking and like, do you want to come work here? And so we have this fantastic facility. Worked with Exos, which is, have you ever heard of Exos?
No.
They're based out of Phoenix. So Exos it's a system and it's strength and conditioning, and they have this Exos system. If you look at all of the like top NFL draftees, you know, I would say like 80% of the draftees go and do pre-camp or like pre-combine out at Exos.
Oh wow. Okay. So they're that efficient.
So I mean, yeah, I mean they're the real deal. So we used to have them come out to our facility and run stuff here and worked with them, and it became trying to network. And if I'm honest, being American didn't hurt.
Yeah.
So, you know, when people think that America's already like, you know, on the forefront of strength and conditioning, and we have an American here, so he must know what he's talking about. Luckily, I knew what I was talking about.
Right.
But, you know, and then it's just, you start work. I worked with some hockey players. I worked with like a beach volleyball player, taekwondo, and it's just word of mouth. I mean, also small, super small. So
Is that how big is it?
now it's about 500,000. And then you have suburbs and everything.
Yeah.
So it's similar to St. Louis.
Okay. Wow.
St. Louis is much more spread out.
But that's the main city in Norway too, right? That's the biggest city in Norway, right?
Yep. There's only 5 million people in the whole country.
Oh wow. Okay. I mean Chicago's got more than that, and that's the city.
Exactly. So I mean, even now, still like 7 years later from being at the facility, I'm still dealing with trying to convince people that they have to do this like this, or that's best for the athletes. Or, I mean, some of the soccer teams, you know, they hire a physical therapist who also can do some strength and conditioning just to save money.
Oh wow. I hate that. Yeah.
It's not like the US where you see like, you know, you look at college football, you know, you look at pro football, and they have a hierarchy within their strength and conditioning.
Right. It's one person that does the strength, and then there's one person just for conditioning.
Yeah, and then there's, you have,
and then they have a staff under them.
Yep. So it's tough, but I mean, it's good. Like you know, right now, especially in November and December, even though we were shut down, I had, you know, clients on one-on-one with the doctor's note, and I had Armani, the basketball player, I had Cecilia, who's now in Big Bear, California for her new fight.
Yeah. I mean, Cecilia Braekhus, anybody doesn't know, is the former middleweight, women's middleweight champion. And you know, the one girl she lost to is from St. Louis.
Wait, Jessica McCaskill?
Yeah, she's from St. Louis.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, she's from St. Louis, man. Yeah, but she trains out of Chicago.
What's she?
She's from the South
side. Yeah, that's right. She's out of Chicago.
But she's from the South side though.
Because I knew she was up in Chicago. I had no idea when she was from St. Louis.
She's from St. Louis.
No, I mean, that fight, in terms of that fight, like, it sucked for Cecilia because Corona just pushed it. I mean, and this goes towards it as well. It's like, we work with her here, but she didn't have one of us with her. And it's me and one other coach that works with her. And she didn't have us with her in Big Bear for the last camp. And so usually we work with her up to a certain point, and we're like, all right, you're ready to go into pre-camp and then camp. And we know she doesn't do really any strength in camp, just mostly boxing, staying loose, you know. But then when camp went from like a 5-6 week camp to 18-week camp, they just kept that camp level going. And by the time she got to the fight, like, she was fried. I mean, you can even see it. It's like, you know, she would see something coming. She's like, I couldn't react.
Wow. And she's our age too, man. The girl she's fighting is like 24. It's like,
yeah, but C's still tough though. Like,
no doubt.
I'm excited to see the rematch. Like, I think it's the 13th in Dallas.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up very soon. I know that. And it's funny because I know that they were trying to. I know for a while they were trying to pitch her against Layla Ali for a minute because she was winning so much. Her and I forgot the other sister from Flint. That's real good that they've been. She's got like 3 different weight class belts.
Yeah.
I forgot her name.
Yeah. Me too.
They've
I
been
know who you're talking
teasing.
about.
Yeah, and like she
won a gold medal too, didn't she?
Yeah, she won a gold medal too.
Yep.
Yeah, she had that documentary too that about her. I think it's on Netflix. I can't remember her name now. But they've been teasing that. Do you think that that's a possibility? Like that would be like a super fight, or is Layla like? Oh,
I mean, she's been trying to get. I'm not sure she'll get Layla. I mean, she should get. I can't think of it. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, look it up a second. But she was also trying to do Cyborg.
Really?
So Chris Cyborg, they were trying to do. Yeah, they were trying to get a big crossover one. So I know she was looking at that. I mean, obviously this was around the McGregor fight, the Mayweather. And so then they were going to, try to capitalize on this whole.
Clarissa Shields, her name.
Queen of boxing. Clarissa Shields. That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the big thing with Clarissa was that the weight classes were so different and try to see who's going to come up, who's going to come down, how it was going to work out. And then, she had this fight with McCaskill to come up instead.
So when you train athletes, what is the main thing that you try to tell them, like in their training process of like what they need to do, what they shouldn't be doing?
I mean, for me, everything's individual, of course. I mean, you can't work with everybody with the same template. But what I see a lot of athletes, what they don't understand is most athletes, especially from an athlete's perspective, is that more is more. It's like, all right, if I train more, I'll be better. But I don't think a lot of athletes understand that there has to be this give and take. It's like, even when you're resting, like if it's programmed resting, that's when you recover. And then you can do better then. I mean, there's certain ways where you can sort of, build, and then you take this programmed dip to then build again. Especially with some of these like fight sport athletes. I mean, I see them and they're like, go. Or even basketball. It's like, the guy I'm dealing with now, his coach, like I don't have much contact with him because I'm sort of private outside. It's like they had practice, back-to-back games, and then had a day off, but then they did 2 practices and a scrimmage. And it's like, I mean, they just kept going and going. And the thing is if you're, I mean, it's pro league here, but most of these guys still like, they have other jobs, they have other stuff, and he doesn't say, he's like, all right, we have a 9 p.m. practice and then we're going to have a 12 a.m. practice, not 12 a.m., but 12 p.m. practice the next day. He's not saying go home, get your rest, do this. And he's not structuring the practices so that what they do at night matches up with what they do the next day.
All over the place. They're scattered. All
over the place. And it's not his fault. I mean, he doesn't study that stuff. I mean, you don't want to ask me about set plays and basketball strategy and stuff like that. That's not my wheelhouse. So that's why I try to teach a lot of the athletes is like, how to manage their weeks. In fact, the guy who's at the UFC Performance Institute now, that's mainly what I do. At this point, we work together so long. It's like I can say we're doing a power day today, and he knows enough of the exercises how to structure it. But that's where a lot of like my input comes in. Is that we're doing a day where we have this sort of output, as opposed to take it back a little bit, maybe just run, maybe keep the nervous system like activation super low. So it's a lot of those sort of things. In terms of the exercise selection, like that's easy. If someone wants to come in, and that's one reason I don't work with a lot of like general populations, because personally it bores me. It sounds really bad to say it, but it's true. But like if someone comes to me and is like, I just want to be fit. And it's like, so you mean you can come, you can pay me and I just basically give you some exercises to do each time and then that's it. But yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not a challenge. Whereas you look at a athlete and you're trying to build up for, game performance, for in season, for off season, for preseason, for postseason, if that comes up, like how to manage this. For me, it's more like building this athlete instead of just helping them out.
So with the coronavirus happening, how has that affected training for people, and it affected you and your training and how things kind of go, and particularly in Europe versus a U.S. kind of situation? I
mean, Europe's good. I mean, we're different even from county to county here. So, like, oh, wow. But Sweden's right next door. And I'm sure you guys in the States have heard plenty about the Swedish model where they just let everything stay open.
With the herd immunity or whatever.
Yeah, which didn't work. I mean, even they've come out and they're like, yeah, all right, it doesn't really work. But, here it's been tough, because I say it's been tough, but it's still been pretty open because we were open from like, I don't know, like August till November, like normal. I mean, no problems. And then since November, it's been one-on-one, and the only difference is I haven't worked with teams. I worked with a lot, not a lot, but a handful of hockey teams. Like I'll go out and work with them on the ice and then transfer some of those principles to the strength room. Like I don't work with teams so much anymore because they're not really gathering for that. Or when they do, they have to use it for team matters instead of bringing in one guy once a month.
Oh, wow. Wow. So it just changed up the whole game.
Yeah. And I mean, so many of the pro leagues are they're like stop and go. I mean, hockey right now is on a hold, at least here in Norway. Basketball's on a hold. I think handball's still going because they just had world championships or European championships. I'm not sure. But like, it all depends. And I hate to say it, and it's similar in the States probably.
Yeah.
The more money it brings, the more likely it's going to keep going.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, because over here it's like college football. It was almost like pickup games. Like how many people you can bring out there is going to be the game going. NFL
too. You see in the NBA too. I mean, you see.
Yeah, NFL too. Because like, what team was it that came out there with like the practice squad quarterback? I think it might have been. Was it the Dolphins?
Like Tennessee.
Yeah, somebody came out with their practice. The practice team quarterback. He hadn't played quarterback since high school.
And the sad part is you're going to get guys that get hurt then too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not as much because they're, I don't know, like maybe not. Maybe that's just me looking more out for the athletes because, this practice, it's great for the practice squad guy. Like if he's a practice squad QB and he gets a chance to, play in the NFL for even a game or even a snap, like that's great. On the flip side though, like he underthrows this, this wide receiver who then eats it and, is out for the rest of the season with concussion. Or, I mean, that's very specific, but, these sort of things, it's when you have a team, there's a reason there's a first squad that goes and, they click, they play all season, they click, they work together, I think you're going to see the same thing in like, across a lot of sports.
Yeah, man. So let's talk a little hip hop, man. What you listening to, man?
I mean, everything. I shouldn't say everything. I mean, if it's just hip hop, it's just Griselda and Freddie Gibbs and like I feel like that brings back everything that we used to listen to in the mid-90s. Like when I first heard some of the Griselda stuff, I was like, oh my God, I'm back home.
Yeah,
and it takes nothing away from like all the Lil Uzi Vert, like all that stuff, because hip hop had to keep evolving and moving along, and I think that's great too. But that stuff just speaks to my soul. I mean, just being honest.
Yeah, that Freddie Gibbs, man. I remember when I heard Freddie Gibbs the first time on the Bandana with him and Madlib, and I was like, wow, because I didn't listen to the GSPN stuff he had when he was like kind of with Jeezy or whatever. But then I heard that, and I was like, "Oh, I'm messing with this dude." And then I was getting everything of his.
And then you go back.
Yeah. Then you get like Shadow of a Doubt and all these other different projects he had, Pinata and all that. Man, like you was like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good."
The once I heard there was a track on Shadow of Doubt that uses Bob James Nautilus.
Yep. I know. Yes, I love that track.
Yeah. But like that's my favorite sample of all time. Like who used that? Ghostface used that like on way back. It was on the Iron Man album.
It's on Iron Man. Like,
there's so many people that use that. So as soon as I heard that, like I was like, all right, I gotta check this dude out.
Yeah,
and since then I've been a stan.
Yeah, I've been rocking with Freddie, man, probably good 6-7 years, man. It's like I've been telling him for a long time, like, yo, get on Freddie Gibbs. I'm like, Freddie Gibbs, isn't he the one that was with Jeezy? Like, no, man, just get on. just trust me, get on this Freddie Gibbs train. It's going. Then now he's up for a Grammy now. I mean, for Alfredo.
Exactly.
So who else you listen?
I think that.
Go ahead.
I got that. I listen to like a bunch of like Thundercat and some of the more jazzy stuff. Yeah. I mean, Thundercat, he's sort of in that same like, hemisphere of everything. Yep. I don't know, man. I can actually think about what's going on like on my playlist. Let me just pull up.
That new Benny the Butcher.
I'll save it pauses. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I mean, honestly, anything Griselda right now puts out, even that Sorry.
Oh no, you good, man. I'm going through mine too right now.
Who's the girl they have on Griselda? She put out that Liz Taylor
Oh
album.
yeah, I forgot her name. I know you're talking about. I forgot her
But
name.
that was good too.
I forgot
But I
her
mean,
name.
like, even like Jack Harlow's album, like that surprised me. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna be corny. I ain't gonna front.
Yeah. No, I thought so too. Like that What's Poppin' track was good, but I thought everybody else was carrying it. I
Yeah, I
mean,
was like,
Lil Baby,
okay.
all his stuff. I think that his album was really
And
good.
then I was mad at him because
Someone.
he the one that dimed out Sweet Lou Williams for being at the strip club. So I was like, oh man, no, I'm not listening to him. He dimed out Sweet Lou Williams trying to get his wings at the strip
Yeah,
club.
that story cracked me up. It
Yeah.
cracked me up so bad.
That new Elzai is pretty good too, man.
Yeah,
The new Elzai is good. That Buster was good too, man. Surprisingly.
yeah. I mean, I liked it. It felt like it went back to what Busta's good at, and
Yeah.
I think that's why we liked it. I mean,
And
the
that
Nas
Salam
last
Remy
year was
too. That
good.
Salam Remy was good too. That new Salam Remy was good too.
Yeah, yeah,
And then Black
that's
Thought
good.
always came hard. I mean, those are kind of like what I've been
Always.
kind of like.
You know what's funny? Do you remember Dave Beck?
Dave Beck, Dave Beck. No, I
So
don't
Dave
know.
Beck was a year older than us at SLUH. He's a English teacher in the Parkway District now.
Okay,
Like
okay.
he actually went on. Like he played soccer at St. Louis University, and then I think he played with the national team on a couple games. Like
Oh wow.
and he was
Okay.
Taylor's age, so he was good. And we just reconnected like out of nowhere. Actually, I shouldn't say out of nowhere. He wrote a kids book, and so I ordered it for my niece. And then he just goes, "So I got a really important question for you." It's like back in high school, you tried to get us to listen to all this like super grimy hip hop, like 3 6 Mafia,
Yep.
and he's like,
Yep.
you still listen to that? And I was like, of course. Like,
Yeah.
what else? So he's been sending me stuff like nonstop. I sent him over the summer. I did like quarantine, had some extra time.
Yeah.
I made a list that started out as like top 50 albums.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up being like 250, and it was supposed to be top 100 tracks and top 1,000 tracks. I'll send it to you. Literally 1,000 tracks.
Oh shit! I want to get. I want to get that, man. Like
But
I
it's
did so
like,
many playlists, man. Like I got my iTunes. I made some. I got a Shot Town's finest. Jay-Z versus Nas. K. Dot versus J. Cole. Mos Def versus Talib. Versus Tupac. Sade versus Anita Baker. Like I just had time, man. Like it was just like I'm gonna make these playlists, man, and not do nothing with my life and just make playlists.
hey, but it was fun. I would
Yeah.
sit at night and just be like, I didn't even have to get high or anything. I would just sit there and feel that way. I had like headphones on and just stare at the screen. It was perfect. I
I mean, it was
zoned
like a
out.
job too, man. Because I'm old. I don't know about you. I'm old school, man. I don't do any streaming services. All mine are real
Oh, really?
MP3s. I have
All
right
right.
now. I have 23,000 MP3s right now.
Whew.
Yeah, man. Like I literally have a whole nother computer just for mute. Like that's the only thing in the store is just for my MP3s. It does nothing else. It's just
Well,
for
it's better than
music.
having like all those CD Logic books.
Oh, yo, man, we used to have like 4 or 5 of those, and then you had to like you was riding, you was like, oh, it's in the one in the trunk. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
kids will
Yeah.
never know, man. Like, or you had to, or you met, or when we got in college, you like, oh man, I can make a mix of my favorite songs on one CD, and now I have to
Yep.
change up the different CDs to hear my song. And that was like the best thing. Like, oh man, I got 17 of my banging woo joints right on one CD,
All on the same one.
all on the same CD.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like so, man. This section, man, I call this or that. It's just two. You choose between the two options. That's it. All right, Nas or Jay-Z.
For on what? Like as on just
Whatever way you
everything?
want. Yeah, whatever way you want to make the parameters.
All right. I'll take Nas as a lyricist,
Mm-hmm.
but in terms of like pure entertainment, Jay-Z.
All right, Busta Rhymes or Missy Elliott.
Oh, you're killing me. Missy.
Okay.
I think she changed so her and Timbaland changed the game so much.
All right, I'm gonna go. This is a producer one. DJ Premier or Pete Rock.
Premier.
Before I even finished who he was going against.
You know, it's funny because I just had a conversation with someone saying like I would go back and check out all these tracks that I loved, and I go back and it wouldn't even be Gangstar stuff, but I'd be like, it's Premier
Yep.
beat. Like my favorite, like on this album was a Premier beat. So like I love Pete Rock. Like I would put Pete Rock in my top 5. but Premier, 100%.
Like some of my favorite Jay-Z songs are Premier beats.
Exactly.
I mean, Nas is
Biggie
one of his
too.
best songs. Nas is like is a Premier beat. I mean, and then a whole bunch of other songs on the first Illmatic.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So then I didn't even get to P. Rock. You said Premier before I even.
Didn't
All
matter.
right.
He's number one.
Martin or Martin or Fresh Prince.
Martin Lawrence. I love Will Smith, but Martin Lawrence just cracks me up.
Okay. Okay. Golden Girls or 227.
I'll take Golden Girls. Mostly because I used to watch Golden Girls more.
Yeah. No. There is no shame in Golden Girls in general. Were you a soap opera person as a kid?
Not really, man.
See, I had
really,
I had an old grandmother, man. I used to watch all the soap operas, so I won't do the next one. My next was General Hospital versus Young and the Restless.
Oh yeah, I would have no. Actually, no. I was on a soap opera.
Which one?
In college. I can't remember right now.
Was it Passions? Because I was still on.
It was one. So while we were in college, there was like someone ran away on one of them, and they did this tour of all these colleges. I'm sure it was someone in the marketing department says we need more like of this age demographic. So they went and shot on a bunch of college campuses. And so it was like me, because I'd been in New York and modeled. It was my senior year because it was after I'd been in New York. And then some of the like drama people.
Wow. I wonder which one it was, Days of Our Lives or something like that.
Actually, no, it was Days of Our Lives.
Days of Our Lives, okay.
Yep.
And the kid ran away and they went to Rhodes?
They just made
it so random.
They went by these schools. Yeah, so it wasn't Rhodes on the show, but like they did this tour of a bunch of colleges.
That's hilarious. You was on Days of Our Lives. Did you have any speaking parts, or you just like in the background? Oh snap! Shout out!
They gave me the juicy stuff.
Oh man, they can see. All right, Cosby Show or different world.
Cosby Show.
Okay. All right. Magnum PI or Hunter.
Yeah, I didn't really watch Hunter. I mean, to be honest, I don't really think I watched Magnum PI, but I'm more familiar with it. And everyone loves a Hawaiian shirt and mustache, right?
All right. Your favorite Law and Order series?
Shit, I only know SUV.
Oh, you don't know? I mean, you got the original Law and Order. You got
I guess I only know like the original and SUV.
Oh, so you don't know Criminal?
You have to remember, so basically from 2000, I've lived in Europe.
Right. So okay.
No, sorry, not 2000. 2003.
So it's, all that stuff is thrown out the window.
Yeah. So we watched a shit ton of CSI Miami because it was always on like late at night.
Is that the one with LL Cool J on it, or is he on?
No, it's one with David Caruso.
Okay. See, I get all of them confused, man. Like all of them are the same exact show. All right, Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars kid, man. We just finished up Mandalorian like this week.
Okay. Oh, so you just finished it up, man. It's awesome, man.
Yep. Oh, so good. And that last episode, like goosebumps, like everything.
I watched it like 5 times. Just the ending scene.
Really?
Yeah. Like my daughter, the one loves to watch it. She loves Mandalorian now. She's all into Star Wars now. Like she's watched every movie. She watched the Mandalorian. Like she gets mad if I get up in the morning and watch it on Friday or something. She's all on board with it. She's Clone Wars. She watched the Clone Wars cartoons, like all that stuff, man.
See, my daughter's not. How old's your daughter?
7.
All right, same age as mine. Like mine's not quite. She's much more into like anime and like all these Japanese ones. But her and my wife would just mess with me because they knew it wasn't Baby Yoda. They knew, I'm like, it's not fucking Yoda.
Yeah,
like,
right.
What happened to Baby Yoda?
No, it's not Yoda. Like, stop it. All right, best memory from SLUH High School, from being in high school. Or even a couple. I mean, I'll give out one of mine.
I don't know, man. All right.
One of mine is off the top. I don't even know if you remember. It was Halloween. We were at somebody's house for Halloween. And you already, when I mention the person's name that wild out, you'll know. Eric Schreiber.
Yeah.
Remember, he got like super high and drunk and was just wigging out and just passed out in this random person's house. And everybody just left him.
All right. I don't like. to be honest, like, and I talk to my wife about this sometimes. There's so much stuff I've forgotten. I wonder if it's because we travel around so much. Like you're constantly these new experiences. It's just like stuff get pushed out. So like I remember like fights that happened. I remember like some parties. Like I remember like weird things at SLUH. I remember. Do you ever do the theater like quarter? Like you ever did like it was done by quarters, right? Not semesters.
Yeah, it was over
But there was one where you did
semesters.
Yeah, that's right. But it was
It was set up by quarters, though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And we did like juggling for a whole
Yeah,
quarter.
yeah, I did juggling. I did juggling, yeah.
Yeah. So like I remember exactly how we taught it. But I remember like senior follies. I remember stuff like that. But I can remember who was like sitting next. You know what's funny? And this one stands out. I remember the moment someone gave me 36 Chambers.
Really?
So I remember the Wu-Tang album. It was Leo. Do you remember Leo? I can't remember
which Leo
last name.
Leo. I know you're talking about. Yeah. I know.
He looked like a Muppet.
Though. Yeah, I remember Leo. You're talking about. Yep, I know you're talking about.
He gave it to me, and I was like, "Oh, that was just." I mean, I didn't know at the time because I just took it home and I listened to it, and then I listened to hip hop before that. But as soon as like Return of 36 Chambers, it was just done.
I know. I
remember that moment.
When I got the Lil' Kim Hardcore album, sophomore year, we bum rushed the locker room after games and stuff, and we were playing. They were like, "What the fuck is this?" And we like, "Yo, this Lil' Kim Hardcore goes hard."
Exactly, it did. It still does.
Oh, I mean, Queen Bitch, the song Queen Bitch, like that's one of the best rap songs of all time to me. Period. Like
100%.
Like
we're gonna keep talking while I'm moving.
Oh no,
that's all right, because I gotta go let in my client.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up, man. Let everybody know where they can hit you up at, social media wise and website and all that good stuff. We lost them. So repeat all your social medias and place they can hit you up at. I'll plug it in.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. So no, it's Instagram's the easiest, and it's Blake Schaefering. I mean, that sort of keeps everything in the same spot. Linking up to Nordic Performance Lab. It's this new project I'm working on where we basically we're putting out programs that are inspired by some of the athletes we work with, and then we'll do some featured ones where there's like a charity aspect and some things like that. Yeah, I think it's about. I have a website. It's blakeschaefering.com, and that puts a bunch of the like consulting work that I do. I mean, I still stay in like the fashion side and fitness side and everything, so it just mixes it all together.
Man, well, thank you, man. I appreciate the time for you doing this, man. I appreciate it so much, man. This is dope.
I'm just glad you asked me.
Yeah, no, man. I got a list. I got a list like 500 people I think is dope, and I'm gonna go through all of them, and you one of them, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, much, man. I definitely
we should do this more often, even when it's not recorded, too.
Yeah. Definitely, it's not recorded. Yeah, I'll hit you up. We can just do some Zoom calls, man, and hang out, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. Be easy, man.
For sure. I've actually started getting better at that. It's just like, you too. Take it easy, man.
All right, man.
Thank you.